This is a guy I am proud to call my friend here, and I've had a lot of his food.
Likewise, man. That's for sure.
You can cook.
They all have the black cannon.
That's what I've been wanting to talk about right there.
We have to talk about this because
everybody who tasted a sample bought a can of seasoning.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's how you sell right there.
Yeah, I don't
put it in their mott.
I knew this was gonna come up because I saw your post today.
We mentioned this a little bit earlier about the documentary on you, and we're gonna post that down below for everyone that's listening here. You have to watch this documentary. Yes. You're gonna learn so much about this man. With you starting off in football and the hundreds of trophies that you have in football and the national championship, the lives that you've impacted, how did you transition into cooking?
I don't measure anything. The hardest thing I did was actually having to write this cookbook, and I credit everything to just being prepared. I have over 200 jambalaya wins.
It's incredible.
And then I started reading the write-up, and it started calling me a celebrity Cajun chef, and I'm like, whoa, hold up. I'm just from Holly Beach and like to cook.
So you like to win, too.
Discussing controversial food subjects, historical aspects of food, and pretty much everything else food and cooking related. Once again, let me start by introducing my co-hosts. First up, we have Mr. Barbecue Brand, our resident pitmaster and a past guest on Food Network's Barbecue USA. Welcome, Barbecue Brand.
What's cooking, everybody? It's your boy Barbecue Brand. Happy to be here.
Next up, we have Mr. Brandon D., our food science nerd and Southern food expert. Welcome, Brandon D.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody, for listening in. Let's get it kicked off.
I am KCP, your host and cookie queen. Tonight is a very special night. We have a local legend from the Acadiana area joining us on the podcast. From football to cooking competition to his very own seasoning blends, this man literally does it all. Give a very special welcome to Mr. Rusty Noel. Welcome to the podcast, Rusty.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, thank you for coming on for us.
So how's it going? How are you today?
Good. Busy. I came straight in from Covington. I picked up a couple stores for seasoning out that way.
Excellent.
Came into Lafayette real quick and did a commercial for a local food truck that asked me to kind of do a little commercial. It'll probably come on. I'll probably post that tomorrow. Did a few things. He's doing a seasoning challenge where he's going to feature one local seasoning for a week on his fries for like 5 weeks, and then people can go ahead and vote at the end of 5 weeks of who they like the best. And he picked me to start the week off, to start the first week. So a little flattered and fun.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Man, what food truck is it? Can you say?
Cajuns Eatery.
Okay.
If y'all have not had a burger from Cajuns Eatery, y'all missing out. I got one today, and let me tell you, I'm a burger freak, and I've eaten at every place you can think of, from old school to the new guys to Five Guys, and man, I don't know if I've had a better burger in our area.
Oh awesome. Wow, that's high praise.
I need that in my life. I'm all about a burger.
Yeah.
And I got the Cajun special. It was kind of spicy, really good, grilled onions. Man, it was cooked perfect. You'll see my little commercial. I'll tag you guys in it. Really good guy. Good guy.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
All right.
Man, once again, I am jealous of all these great local places that I cannot take advantage of we're here in Houston. But when we go home, we definitely try to hit up as many places as possible.
Yeah, that's true. We're lucky though in Houston. We got a lot of great restaurants in Houston, but you kind of have to sort through them. There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not
definitely.
I'm gonna say this. I could get have some dust some bullets off, but there are no good Cajun restaurants here.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that can do some things decent, like they got some good fried seafood places, but like I've had some places that had some pretty decent crawfish etouffee. I mean, it wasn't the greatest, but it definitely wasn't terrible. But there's always something weird about it, like they put it over dirty rice, and I'm like, why?
But we got some, being here in the center, we got some not so good Cajun restaurants around Lafayette as well.
Yeah,
so I'm going to throw that out there.
That is true.
They're not all winners.
They usually, I will say this about the restaurant market in Lafayette. If they're not really, really good, they usually shut the doors within a year. They don't like, you better be on your food game if you're going to open a restaurant here.
That's the thing about us here is that we will let you know if you're good or not.
It's the same thing in Houston. Very, very cutthroat restaurant scene. I mean, not quite as bad as Lafayette, but pretty bad. I mean, and especially with things like waiting. Houston restaurants, you do not wait in line. If you see a line at a Houston restaurant, people are going to get mad because they're like, I could go somewhere else where I don't have to wait. So, in Austin, that's the thing. Like, people like restaurants with lines in Austin. They think that's fun.
Make you think you're waiting on like Disney World, right? You're waiting on that.
Houston's like, nah, it's way too hot outside for anybody to be waiting outside here. You wait too. Yeah, right, me too. I'm like, nah, we could go somewhere else.
15 minutes? Nah, we'll grab McDonald's and head to the house.
Right. People waiting in line for like 2 hours at Franklin Barbecue in Austin.
No,
I'm like,
come on, man.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure his barbecue is good, but you know what? So are a lot of other people's.
Yeah.
I'll just figure out what brand's cooking next and go swap some of here.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
There it is.
All right. I mean, well, let's just start out. Rusty, where are you from originally?
Yeah.
Holly Beach, Louisiana.
Really?
Capital of Cameron Parish.
Really? Wow. I've never met anyone that's from Holly Beach, ever.
I actually got accused of lying about that by someone once. And my response was, who the hell would lie about being from Holly Beach, Louisiana?
Of all places to pick.
Right? I mean, at least I would lie and tell them I'm from Hackberry or something, but pointless, a little bit upgrade, Maplewood, something. No, we used to own a grocery store there. Now we moved it from there. I was about fourth grade, 1984-ish, somewhere around there, and moved to Moss Bluff. And I ended up finishing school at Sam Houston High School in Moss Bluff. Crazy story. I ended up in Florida for a bit for ball. And then right back here to UL Lafayette, and that's where I met my wife, and we're going on 29 years.
That's awesome, man.
That's a long time.
I'm still putting up with her. I'm still dealing with her. Them
what
girls from New Iberia are rough, man. Nobody warned me about them people from New Iberia. I thought it was just a little sweet little suburb like Mayberry outside of Lafayette, man. Nobody told me anything about that.
Oh, man.
This is definitely not that.
No.
Straight from the monkey farm, I got her.
Man, I have met Nicole on many occasions, and
I'm joking.
She is so sweet, but she can handle you. It took a woman like that to handle a Rusty Noel.
God puts people in your path for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that, and I've had those people, inserted from when I was young through high school all the way through, from coaches to different mentors on to the boss I have now, Ed Eaton. I work for Eaton Oil Tools. I work in the oil and gas industry. That's where we do a lot of our cooking is, oil field competition events and cooking for customers and big things like that. And, there's not, I'm not going to say a day go by because I don't talk to him every day, but there's not a time I talk to Ed that I don't tell that man how much I appreciate him. It has nothing to do with work, man. He's like a father to me, to the point where 2 years ago I was considering taking another job out of the oil field, and he's the one I called for advice. Not often you would call your boss for advice, but I knew he would be the one that I could trust and that would give me that fatherly advice that I look to.
That's special.
But yeah, God, he puts those people in your path, and I'm a firm believer in that for sure.
I've been in the oil field for 17 years, so
Right?
yeah, it's a wild ride, man. It's been crazy.
It's good when it's good, and it's
Oh
really
man,
bad.
when it's bad, it's bad. I mean, seeing your friends get walked out the door is one of the toughest things you can have at a job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in oil and gas as well. So almost 12 years in oil and gas. So yeah, it's there's definitely a song and dance to that field.
But I can tell you one thing: cooking is a good skill to have in the oil and gas business if people like to eat, and
Absolutely. I tried the OnlyFans route, but it didn't work out, so I just decided to stay in the field.
Yeah,
It
I
just
see you
didn't
still
work
got
out.
your light. The lighting looks good, man. The OnlyFans light look good on you right now. I like that.
Man, I learned all that, man. I learned all that. You got to be able to move without shadows. Shadows sometimes make stuff look bigger. Sometimes shadows make stuff look smaller. So you got to cut all the shadows out and just play fair game. You see? They get me going in a direction you don't want me going in. Sometimes I don't. And for the record, I got tea in my cup. That's just tea in my cup.
Oh, you didn't get the memo?
I missed the memo. Right here is probably one of the most expensive liquor cabinets you'll ever find. So I don't have a very far walk to get a hold of it.
Man.
Well,
But this is where we do all our cooking. We do all our video in here. The stove's right behind me. I'm actually sitting in front of it. That way I was a little bit closer, but I put this further back and man, I'm going to attempt to show you without going too crazy, but yeah, we do all our stuff back here and do all our videoing. And as you can see, like up top, man, every time we win like events, on the sides, in front, I think I got like 6 of these beams of just paddles.
Wow.
The last 2 months, that's just plaque stack for the last 2 months of cooking competitions right here, that are starting to get moldy and kind of rotten. And this ain't the trophy room out here. This is kind of where I stick stuff to try to make it to the trophy room, but the trophy room's inside my football trophy room and my cooking trophy room. But paddles get stuck on these beams up here. I just come back, I unload, reload, get ready, and I just throw them up on the beam. So I couldn't tell you where a lot of that stuff's at, but we just throw them up here and get. It's about the competition and the adrenaline. I really like to compete, and as soon as I take my picture, I just throw it back here somewhere, and I'm on to the next one. I usually have one back to back, day after day, so we don't have time to really have fun and celebrate.
Man.
Yeah, like seriously, what store do you buy your time from? Because I would like to shop at that store because I need to buy whatever time you buy, and I need some of that time because I don't have enough hours in the day.
So, and look, I like to joke and cut up, but also there's some things that I get serious about. Since 2019, I had an incident in New Orleans. I don't know if you guys watched my documentary and probably saw
sure did. Yeah.
Yes.
I sleep maybe 3 hours a night. Since 2019, I don't think I've slept more than 2 hours consecutive. I'm usually up every hour on the hour. I have to take meds to get 3 to 4 hours in. Still, that incident still haunts me till this day. I close my eyes, I dream nothing but about that incident. And although I have had help, I have an incredible counselor. She's just incredible, and has brought me a long way. But it just seems to be at night. I don't sleep, so my wheels are turning. 18 hours a day at the most.
Wow.
We're always looking at the next, what we got left, what we got to do.
Right.
I'm very organized. I'm very good at, like right now, I have to be at Channel 15 at 3:30 in the morning, tomorrow morning, to cook.
Wow.
So we try different things, right? Now that a cook-off is just a cook-off, but I try to challenge myself. Like 2 weeks ago, I had 3 cook-offs in 2 days, 5 categories. And we did it. We placed in the top 3 of all 5 categories. 2 firsts and 3 thirds. 2 of those, 4 categories, and 2 of those were in the exact same day. I set up one, ran to the next, set up, cooked. Not only did I cook jambalaya for the jambalaya cook-off. I cooked 2 Spanish paellas that I've never cooked in my life. I practiced once on each, a seafood and a lamb. Judging was at 11. I plated it for 11 o'clock. Gave my wife a kiss and said, "You stay here and feed the public. I'm going to start the next pot in Broussard." I left New Iberia, drove to Broussard, started that one, had it ready for judging at 4. And then when she was done, she loaded everything in the truck, come met me there. All I told her, I gave her a kiss. I said, "Get our plaques and come meet us at the next one."
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
So my new challenge this weekend is I double booked. And I heard y'all talk about pastelaya on your show too. So we got to throw this out there. Let's just dive right off.
I knew this was gonna come up because I saw your post today.
I absolutely. I'm not gonna say I hate it. I like to eat it. It's fun. But cooking it, I think my 4-year-old grandbaby could jump in a pastelaya competition. I clown people because I tell them they're in a hamburger helper cook-off. I just that's what I tell them, right? A hamburger helper.
It's Cajun hamburger helper. I mean, that's kind of true.
Sure.
Would you not? To me, pastelaya was invented for guys who they had a clue how to put rice in a jambalaya. That's just me.
Yep.
Don't shoot the messenger. People watching this at home, don't go crazy and say, "Oh, that." So, but would you know it? I have 2 pastelaya competitions Saturday. I'm double booked. So I found a young man, Trent. So Trent wants to start competition cooking. He's a young guy, works offshore. Man, he just sent me a message because he saw me post on there that, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing, having 2 cook-offs in the same day." He said, "Mr. Rusty, I don't know you, but I follow you on social media. I'll cook one of them for you if you teach me." So my last 3 meals that I've had to cook at events that wasn't cook-offs, they got stuck eating pastelaya because I don't measure anything. The hardest thing I did was actually having to write this cookbook. Like I had to go back through and sit back for months and go, okay, this ain't going to work. This is going to work. This measurement ain't going to work. I go off a sight and I go off a smell a lot of times. And there's times where I taste it at the very end, throw the lid on it and say, "It's ready for judges. Let's go." Because I do it so much. So these 2 hamburger helper cook-offs this weekend, when they asked me to get on Where's Al Abear, on Channel 15, he has a show, Cooking with Al. He asked me to go on Friday. Try to make a couple appearances a month on his show. He said, "Man, what are we going to do?" I said, "Man, I know what we're going to do. I'm going to get in the parking lot, put my tent up. We're going to do a competition setup. So we're cooking a pastelaya." He said, "Why a pastelaya?" I said, "Because I got to teach a kid how to do this. I got to teach a young man how to do this Saturday. So now I get a practice run tomorrow morning on TV to teach him how to cook it." He's going to go to Youngsville and cook one in that's the Gary Williams Memorial. It's a jambalaya, pastelaya. I tried to talk him into doing a jambalaya. He wanted to do the pastelaya, which I'm kind of probably glad he did because it's a little bit easier for me to teach somebody that's he's never been in any competition, none. So I look like the local drug dealer. I've been putting little baggies together for him and labeling them. So he can watch me tomorrow and be like, "Okay, this little baggie goes here, this little baggie goes there." Right. And then there's a Altamall family benefit. A high school buddy of mine is throwing for a family in Moss Bluff, where I'm from. She has cancer. And I had already committed, but they were kind of back and forth on the dates. And then when they locked the date in, as a seasoning company, I sponsored and donated all the awards. I put some auction items in there for them and some stuff like that. I try to lean more towards those cook-offs. When it comes to the big F5, thin feather fur, stuff like that, those are fun because they're really tough. You got to be out the box, got to be creative. But I try to lean more to where I can help somebody raise money for a benefit, whether it be cancer, kids, St. Jude's, anything where they're raising money. Yeah. And I really love when they give their money back as prizes. I'm pretty rough on somebody that's at one of these benefits and they come out second or third or even first and beat me, and they try to walk away with that prize money. I pretty much shame them into making sure they give that money back because that's not why we're there. Right. So I think they're doing the same thing this weekend, which, anybody in their right mind that goes to a benefit for the benefit would never leave with prize money. I've never had. But yeah, where most people do their videos, shooting cooking videos in their kitchen, We do a few of those here, especially when we're practicing for something like a Spanish paella. We like to shoot our videos and our stuff at competitions just to be a little bit different. Just gives you a little bit of perspective. In fact, my next project is a cookbook, smaller, half size, and it's all competition recipes. And I'm doing like when it comes to jumbos, jambalayas. God forbid I put pastalaya in there. I don't know. I might name it something, but I want to do one where I got recipes from 5 gallons to 100 gallons because I got from a 5-gallon pot to a 100-gallon pot.
Wow, that's a lot.
And that way, and I got it broken down in my phone. That way, if somebody calls and says, "Hey man, what do I do for a jambalaya for a 30-gallon or 85-gallon or whatever?" I can just copy and paste and send it to them.
That's awesome.
That's just, over years of doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Man, 100 gallons is serious.
It's a beast. You got to know what you're doing. It's man, it's no joke. We've done about 8, 9. Matter of fact, the last one I didn't do it. Some of the guys did one in the 100-gallon pot, and they did everything by phone. That was pretty nerve-wracking, but it come out perfect. You just gotta know what you're doing. Just take your time. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't be scared to throw more stuff in there.
Listen for your ancestors to tell you what to do.
Right?
They know it. They know best.
The first time we did it, I was measuring my liquid as I would do it, and I had bags of rice, so I knew my liquid to rice. So I just had so many bags of rice extra on one side of the pot. So as I would put the liquid for a 10-pound bag of rice, I'd throw it on the other side of the pot. I would add my liquid, I get to a 10-pound bag, I throw it on the other side of the pot. So when my pot was there, I had about that much from the top. Thought, man, that's going to give me some room to work. I took all the rice on the side that I started with, threw it in the trailer, and then got it to a ball and dumped all the rice that I threw on the left side of the pot in the pot. And whoop, come out perfect.
Nice.
Wow.
That's smart.
Yeah, but we had no clue. We didn't even know it was a 100-gallon pot. We didn't even know. So the first time we did it, man, we blindfolded and cooking the jambalaya in there.
Man, you gotta have skills if you can pull that off.
14 beers for it to be ready.
Wow.
When you open the first one, when you start browning your meat, 14 of them, it's usually it's ready to go.
That's child's play
crazy,
for you, though, right? 14 is child's play.
Yeah,
that is a lot of them.
While it's fluffing, you could drink an extra.
I'd like to point out people call me out for cooking ridiculous quantities of food. I'm not even close to that level. I mean, most thing I've done is I've done 100-pound pig. I've roasted a 100-pound pig. I've done that twice.
I love whole hogs, man.
Yeah, that wasn't surprisingly not as difficult as I thought. That was a lot of just checking temperature and just sitting on your butt, drinking some drinks.
Barbecue Brand might not know this, and it's in my trophy room. But the year after the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl, Ike McKenzie had a barbecue cook-off in Lake Charles at the Lake Charles Civic Center, and I won my one and only barbecue competition. I've never barbecued in competition, but that one time, and that was in the 90s. I think it was in the 90s. No, when the Saints won the Super Bowl?
2010.
Well, yeah, 2010.
Yeah. So it was the same year. I won first place in 4 categories and won a grand championship.
Wow.
One of the categories was whole hog. Yep. Whole hog, ribs.
Whole hog is tough, yeah.
Whole hog, ribs, butt, pork palooza, which I could cook anything. I did a stuffed pork loin, and the grand championship.
Wow.
I still got my trophies in the back. Every once in a while, when Ron Hill or Ronnie Romero show up, I pull them out and put them on the bar. Hey, I'm not the barbecue guy.
This is like won the championship and it's like, that's it, retired.
I'm done.
Retired from barbecue.
That's it. Let me pick up the black pot.
Peaked on the first attempt. That's amazing. Yeah. Whole hog is.
The barbecue guys are different. They're different. Her brand.
Yeah.
Different.
It's a different.
It's a different world.
Man, Rusty, I got a question for you because we're talking about everything that you got going on right now, and we mentioned this a little bit earlier about the documentary on you, and we're gonna post that down below for everyone that's listening here. You have to watch this documentary. You're gonna learn so much about this man. with you starting off in football and the hundreds of trophies that you have in football and the national championships and the lives that you've impacted and all of the above, what how did you transition into cooking? Like how did you start cooking and what made you get into competition cooking?
So the crazy part is I've been cooking all along. I've been coaching 31 years and I've been cooking for 31 years. For me, growing up, I was a really big kid, and I was bullied a lot. I was actually, I'm not even gonna use the word bully. I was terrorized by an older brother, and food was one of my ways I could escape. I know you hear people talk about, kind of eating, just, you know, it was a mental thing to me. And then in high school, where I would go days sometimes without eating, you know, I would get my lunch separated to where I could eat part for lunch and then eat part that night to have something to eat. Uh, when I actually finally got out of school and had a little bit of money, one of the best things, man, and had my own place was to be able to cook food. And I think, and I don't mean this in a joking way by no means, but I think that's why I learned to cook a lot. I was always scared that even though in my mind I knew better, you worry, is that the last time you're going to get food? You just get that mentality in your kind of survival mode, right?
Right,
So I would
right.
cook large batches and freeze it up. That way, if something happened, I couldn't afford food, in a few weeks, I had food saved. And it's crazy because I've been married 28 years, and we still cook like that here. I still save everything because I'm just worried. Now, I give most of it away. Like when we leave cook-offs, and if I have anything left, I'm calling people and giving it to people that I know need it. But so coaching football, most of the years, and still now, you know, we have a lot of people that just don't have a lot of money. And since we travel all over the place, we travel from Florida to California to New York. I've coached in Mexico. They didn't have a lot of money. Most of the time, we load these kids up in a van with us, and their parents don't even go with them. So to save money, we load the pot up with the football equipment. That Swamp Cat football trailer never rolls without a pot in there. And we go to Sam's and we load up on meat, and we cook the basics like a gravy that'll go a long ways, or a chili, or something of that sort. We were feeding our kids, to make sure. And then the families that would come, they're spending money to travel, they spend money on hotels. I would do what I can to we cook in the hotel parking lot. And we got thrown out of more hotel parking lots than we had football fields. Just to, hey, y'all need a permit for a food truck. I'm like, well, it's not a food truck. We just cooking to feed these people. And California's the worst because they don't understand. That's us. That's what we do. So when we got Wayne Toots blasting out there and there's 75 people in the parking lot and the food's slinging, the cops are coming. They want to know, and they don't believe you. They said there's no way you're going to serve all that food for free without selling it. And I'm like, hey, man, that's what we do. It's us. It's our people. It's our family.
Yeah.
And, man, we have to fight that part on the road because, here everybody be like, oh, well, shit, just give me a plate. But they don't get us, man. They don't understand us when we travel that far. We go to Riverside, California every year for New Year's weekend. That's where national championships are held. We've been blessed to qualify at least one. Most years we qualify 2 or 3 age groups to go to California. We do well. We've been blessed. We got 27 national championships on that youth level.
Wow. It's amazing.
I retired 2 years ago as coaching, and man, received a call from a select team that was funded by an NFL player, and he called me. And there's levels to youth football that people don't understand. College, like D1, D2, there's levels. And we're more of like the D3 level, which is local kind of recreation league. We win our league, you win state, and you go to national. Well, there's a select level, and I want to try to word this right, but it's an ugly side of youth sports. I've never got into it, and I wasn't planning on ever getting into it, but I retired. I get a call from an NFL player saying, hey, we heard you were our guy. We built this team money can buy. We're flying kids from all over the country into Dallas. That's our home base. We're going to practice there. We're doing this. We're doing that. We want you to coach. So then I had to take that drive Sunday night all the way home with her calling my phone, burning it up, and I was too scared to answer the phone. I drove from Dallas to Shreveport before had the courage to answer that call. But we took that team, went undefeated, went to Miami, and won that national championship at that age group, and that was the coolest thing. And that's how they got me. They said, "Hey, man, we know you've won national titles on 2 different levels, but you never won at this level. Why would you retire, but you never won on the big stage?" So they suckered me in, and I bit and took it and ran with it, and we ended up winning that national championship. They said, "You coming back next year?" I said, "Not no, but hell no, I'm done." It was nice. We traveled everywhere. It was paid for. It was free. Like in Miami, I had a condo on the beach and a convertible Bronco for 8 days.
Nice.
We traveled to Vegas. We traveled to California. We traveled to Phoenix, Atlanta, Oklahoma. If there was a team that was any good or any rankings in their youth ranking football system, we traveled to them and put it on them.
Yeah.
So it was impressive.
That's like the barbecue competition, one and done, right?
Right. For that age group, but yeah, for football, it was 31 years. Back to your question, Brent, I know I run off sometimes. But yeah, we always cooked. Between that and I've been in the oil field for 28 years. Yeah. So I was always the guy like, hey, we got to go do this cook-off at, this oil field event or this skeet shoot or this golf tournament. I was always that guy that either threw down in the pot or grilled something or something to scale that size for the event. And I still do it. I mean, that's what I do for eating is I travel and do all the events, Houston, New Orleans.
Awesome.
I work out of town during the week. I work Covington Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday night.
I've had a lot of Rusty's food, by the way. This is a guy I am proud to call my friend here, and I've had a lot of his food. And
likewise, man, that's for sure.
He can cook.
Good stuff.
Well, I'm jealous.
Yeah. Me too.
Maybe we can get y'all to a competition one day.
That'd be great. We'd love to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The big F5 in Humble, Texas, AADE Thin Feather Fur is the largest cooking event you would ever attend.
What's that?
It's in November. It's usually the second week of November. It's on a Thursday night.
Oh, I can make that one because we don't really travel in November for any reason, because November we go home for Christmas, so we take Thanksgiving as like kind of our little recharge vacation where we don't have to worry about the traveling and the driving. So we stick around. I rarely travel in November, so I'll be there. Count me in. You can save me a seat
before Thanksgiving Thursday.
Okay, yeah. I mean, just you can put a chair with my name on it. I'll be there.
Yeah.
We go big, man. So there's 5 categories. There's 4 categories. I'm sorry, thin, feather, fur, and dessert. So you got. We usually do 2 categories of some sort. I usually do some sort of dessert. That's my specialty, man. I'm way better at dessert and sweets than I am in the black pot.
Wow.
But
yeah, I heard about those.
Wait! But the trophies, the trophies are telling a different story, because I think you're pretty good at both.
I have a lot of dessert trophies. A lot of dessert.
We need to show that dessert that you made at the Jack last year.
Oh man,
that was insane.
What was it?
So, for lack of better terms,
I'll post that picture too. All you gotta do is send it to me, Rusty. I'll put it up on there so everybody can see.
My wife calls me a Pinterest bitch. I'm gonna send you both presentations, Brent.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put them up.
Yeah, you let me know.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, Brandon. All Brandon ever talks about is those red velvet cinnamon rolls you made in Marksville one time.
Man, I make a pecan pie cheesecake.
Oh man.
And a pecan praline cheesecake. Mm-hmm. You throw them cinnamon rolls away.
Wow.
The first one I just sent you is my Chef's Choice presentation for the Jack.
Man.
Oh yeah.
We definitely need to talk about dessert, Rusty. Me and you, we need to talk.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna be there in November. Like you can count me in. Hey, look, man, I'll help. I'll work. Put me to work, cutting stuff, chopping onions, whatever. I'll be there. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: when you come with me to a cook-off, there's not a whole lot of work. The work is the day before I leave. Like even tomorrow, like all three of these cook-offs, all that work is done. It's done in Ziploc bags and ice.
Yeah,
We don't
you got to be prepared.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, I was listening to two guys talk, and one of them was like, man, the guy's just hard to beat. They were talking about me. The guy's just hard to beat in competitions. And somebody asked and said, why is that? And I credit everything to just being prepared.
Yeah.
I go through I have probably cooked, man, I can't tell you how many jambalayas. I have over 200 jambalaya wins.
Wow.
I was counting them up, but I'm over 200 jambalaya wins. And still, till this day, will go over every step of cooking a jambalaya before competition.
That's just, you can't become complacent and stuff like that and just rest on what you've done. I mean, you've got like and we see that in restaurants. Everybody knows a restaurant that they love, you love it, and then there's a turn where the quality just takes a dip, and you're like, that's the end of it,
Yep.
And you hate to see that.
Quality.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna throw this out there.
Okay.
I love my boy Shane Gaspar to death. Man, that's my boy. Out of those 200 wins, I guarantee you there was cream of mushroom in 150 of them.
Oh. Okay, so I got a question, Rusty. Is it golden cream of mushroom or the regular cream of mushroom?
I will never use regular cream of mushroom, but I use half and half. I use some golden and some roasted garlic cream of mushroom.
Oh.
I don't use it for any other reason than to stop my rice from drying out. And I don't use long grain rice. I use medium grain rice, but I find it coats that rice and it just stops it from just drying out.
Oh.
Even when I'm making a rice dressing for Thanksgiving, there's going to be some cream of mushroom. If I'm cooking rice in a pot, there's going to be some cream of mushroom in that pot. Just stop it from drying out.
Those soups have a lot of flavor. They have a lot of flavor.
We won't shoot you.
Hey,
Really?
like I said, y'all hurt my feelings, and then I went back and started counting flats, and then I was all right after that. I'm just it's only crazy if it don't work.
Right, exactly.
That's true.
My thing with cream of mushroom soup is people say, "Oh, I don't use roux to make my to make my crawfish etouffee, and I use cream of mushroom soup." I'm like, that is roux. Let's just accept that fact that cream of mushroom soup is a roux-based soup. It's white
butter.
Roux. Yeah.
Now, just for the record, there was over 100 teams at the St. Jude's etouffee cook-off at Sugar Arena. And, man, I smoked them in the etouffee cook-off this year with perfect scores. I did a lump crab, crawfish, shrimp, and stuffed crawfish heads like you would normally put in a bisque. I stuffed those up, and my sauce was butter, and it thickened up on me a little bit, and I added just a tiny bit of Kitchen Basic seafood stock. Just a tiny bit of seafood stock to thin it back out. And when it comes to butter, man, I'm a butter snob. If it ain't Kerrygold, it ain't going in my pot.
Butter quality makes a big difference. It really does.
It ain't Kerrygold, it ain't going in my pot.
Kerrygold's good butter.
Man, I just ate dinner before I came on this
I know,
podcast,
right?
and I'm hungry again.
Yeah, that's now really interesting combination for a like an etouffee, because you have crab, you have shrimp, you have crawfish, and these are all crab and shrimp are pretty delicate flavors, and crawfish can kind of overwhelm a dish too. You got to be real careful with crawfish, especially. That's why I say when an etouffee, you can't cook your crawfish for that long because you'll bring out too much. It's a very strong flavor especially if it's overcooked.
My competition etouffee will cook about 4 hours before any seafood touches it.
See?
And I'm less than an hour with my crawfish. Probably the last, depending on how I'm drinking, but probably the last 30 minutes with the shrimp. I like to do the shrimp a little earlier just so it gives off so much water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have time before judging to be able to adjust for that water and the flavor that
you're right.
coming out of that shrimp. That's going to change a lot. Right. So you want it a little over-seasoned and you want it a little thick. So I like to cook my shrimp. And then another thing I do, I call it sacrifice, right? Crab meat's so expensive, but it changes the taste so much before you season it. I sacrifice a pound of crab meat early on. But like when I add my shrimp, I throw it in there because it changes the flavor And now you don't have to start trying to chase some sort of profile at the end. You kind of got the crab flavor and you know where you're going to be. Then you save your nice big lump, big old pearls. You save that 5 minutes before it goes to the judges. I push it down on one side of my pot. That way I know I just come with my paddle on that side and I fish those out with a little spoon and put them on top all nice and pretty. And whoop, it's gone. Then once it goes to the judges, I stir all that crap up. Anybody, they can have it then. I don't care what they do with it.
Seafood stock meat with crab is just awesome. It's really great. It really gives great flavor to seafood dishes, and it's really you really can't replicate. Like there's a distinct difference between a stock meat with crab, and a stock just made with shrimp. You're gonna take a huge difference with the crab. Crab makes a fantastic stock.
One of my favorite competitions to go to is in June every year. In the big city of Holly Beach, Louisiana, they have the Crab Festival and the Crab Festival Cook-Off. There's 4 categories. Well, there's always been 3. They're adding dessert this year for a 4th category because I begged them to add it. There's a appetizer, side dish, and entree category. And our camp is pretty big that we rent down there. There's 6 teams that cook under my camp, our group. We all cook all 3. But I taught my son-in-law last year. He wanted to get into cooking, and I taught him. And out of the 9 awards possible, he and I took 5 awards out of the 9.
Wow!
So it was fun, man. I won the side dish, which I did a stuffed crab. But instead of putting it back in the shell, I put it in a portobello mushroom cap and smoked it, and did a jalapeno aioli on top. And for the main dish, man, I thought he had this, right? He did these strips of catfish and made a crab stuffing and rolled it like a pinwheel and smoked it in the smoker. And I did a crab cake po' boy with a crawfish queso dip, smoked queso dip over the top of it. So it's kind of funny. I told him, I said, man, if that catfish don't win, this thing is rigged. Well, when I beat him, he's like, well, I thought you said it was rigged. I said, man, shut your mouth. You know what they're doing.
You know what I'm liking about this, Rusty? I really hear the creativity coming out. Because I feel with barbecue competitions, you're really boxed in with like flavors. I mean, you're really boxed in. It's like, I like this.
With a little bit of green. Some of them you can only have low fall on the bottom.
Right.
You can have green. Some you can only have fall. Yeah, I know that much.
And you never know what they're chasing at a barbecue. It's really hard to determine what they're chasing at a barbecue competition. But I love to hear the creativity. Those are 3 really creative. I mean, a crab cake po' boy, man. I mean, you can't beat that, man. That's just a great idea.
I didn't place with my appetizer, right? I did some big sauteed lump crab and some garlic butter, Kerrygold, and some minced garlic. I sauteed that just to heat it up, and I did some deviled eggs with that on top. And I thought, man, this gotta win. Like, that was crazy. I didn't even place. So this year, I'm doing the 2 that I won with, side and entree. I'm sticking with it because I won. But for the appetizer, I have, and I think I told you this, Brandon, at Poche's, but I have a Bloody Mary mix coming out. I have a Bloody Mary mix coming out. We're trying to get all that pieced together. Even if it's not out, I'm going to do a Bloody Mary, and I'm going to get the little bottles of liquor. That way it's just on the side. If they want to add it, they can add it. If they don't, they don't. But I'm doing a fried soft shell crab over the top of that Bloody Mary with some fried shrimp and some, man, I got it all looking with his eyes, and I've already kind of Pinterest this stuff out. I did a couple practice runs.
Nice.
So that's what I'm going for an appetizer. Now, I have not figured out how to put 4 Bloody Marys and soft shell crabs in a white styrofoam box that they give you. I haven't figured that out. So we're gonna see. I'm thinking about just one of them crawfish trays and just open the box in the bottom, and I'm gonna just set them on it and just turn the whole tray with the box open. Here you go. We're in Holly Beach. I mean, it can't be that technical.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
I'm with Brandon on this. Like, just hearing all of the creativity and the way
it just sounds works. It's just more fun.
It's very inspiring, and it's like, man, that's the way my brain thinks a lot of times too. And with competition barbecue, a lot of times you just you're just boxed in, and it's like you can't really go beyond that. But Man,
It's like the thing, like at rodeo, what I made for rodeo for open, it didn't do well at all, and everybody I gave it to thought it was great. It was I made basically a corn mock shoe, put crawfish in it, and put some cheese in it, and put it in an egg roll, and fried it.
Now, I will tell you this. My go-to specialty at a black pot cook-off, if it's a straight black pot cook-off, and there's no separation between seafood, meat, and it's just a straight, or if it is, I'll go to seafood. I do a corn mock shoe with crab, crawfish, and shrimp, and smoked chicken sausage. And, man, I did that in Macomb, Mississippi this weekend. Man, them rednecks like to smothercated trying to get away. And they didn't know what to do. And what is this stuff called? And I tried to explain it to them, man, and they didn't have a clue. But everybody who tasted a sample bought a can of seasoning.
Wow.
Yeah, excellent.
That's how you sell right there.
I don't
put it in a mott.
Yes.
That's the thing, man. Why my dish did not do well? I mean, it came out well. We all tasted it. We all thought it came out well. Everybody I gave it to liked it. It was well seasoned. I think, once again, I'm playing in Texas's rodeo. I'm gonna say this about Texas rodeo: you're not dealing with people. They're not really looking for creativity because everything that won was like surf and turf.
Surf and turf.
And I was like, man.
Jack, anybody who had lobster mac and cheese, simple as can be, and I tried it. Wasn't that great? But anybody who had lobster on a plate or somewhere involved was in the top 10.
Yep.
So it was the category to those.
Just change it to surf and turf, man.
Yeah, like in certain competitions for dessert. Yeah. Most of the time it's cheesecake. No, just change it to the cheesecake competition. Like, what's the point of calling it? The
top 12 had perfect scores. The top 12 were cheesecakes. All the bread puddings finished in the back of the pack.
Yeah, we did bread pudding for dessert competition, and hey, I'll tell you that bread pudding was excellent. That was the best bread pudding we ever made.
My boy Ron Hill is the one who did that bread pudding at the Jack. That banana, I did the whole presentation part for the dessert, but that banana Foster bread pudding with a creme brulee sauce, and he did a Jack Daniel's honey glaze.
You're not making a cheesecake that beats
I don't like bananas at all.
I don't care who you are.
And I couldn't stop eating it. I literally, it was
sounds amazing.
And there's no way this thing don't.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, but I really like the creative side, where you can open. It just sounds more to me like it sounds more fun to have an open-ended competition than just say, hey, let's just. But I enjoy going to barbecue. I enjoy cooking barbecue competitions. But sometimes it's real hard to understand what they're looking for. And we've been going for years, and we've tasted it, and we've tasted chicken that won before. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this tastes like grilled chicken. Now it's switched back to the chicken that's winning. Tastes really smoky. I mean, very smoky chicken. The last chicken I tasted that won was I was like, this is properly smoked chicken. This is really smoked. There's no hot in the smoke flavor.
I tell people this, no matter what competition you're doing, it'll hold true no matter if it's black pot, barbecue, gumbo, jambalaya. You can't chase judges. You can't chase judges because you don't have the same judges at the next event. No. Man, you can win a dozen times. You can win 200 times and then turn around and place third, or fourth, or I don't know when's the last time I haven't placed, but I don't change anything. You don't change anything, and you just don't know. I never get butt hurt when it comes to judging. Don't go my way, because I'll take it on myself, and I'm very hard on myself after the fact. But you just don't know. Everybody got different flavors. That's why there's 500 Cajun seasonings on every shelf you walk into, and they all taste different.
Yeah.
I picked up 8 different seasonings in Mississippi. People cooking with the Cajun and different seasonings, and there's some varieties.
Talk a little bit about that. What was that event? What was it about? And how did you get to rub elbows with everybody?
Yeah.
So, I don't know how I got into this category, right? I got 3 more of these coming up. So, I am now considered a cooking social media influencer.
Oh.
And it said it's because of the competitions that I've won in the past in multiple categories. And But I'll be honest, man. Like TikTok, I started it that week because I wasn't on TikTok. I started it that week. I went to that deal with 100, and I think I'm at 1,200 when I left it.
Wow.
So I picked up 1,100 followers or 1,000 followers in 2 days.
Wow.
And
That's
every
excellent.
time I open it, there's 30, 40, 50 new followers, and it's starting to spread. I had 1,500 followers on my Facebook page, and I think we're at 3,600 right now, just from that event. So technically, it's a social media influencers event. Now, they had a boiled crawfish cook-off. There's actually a sanctioning body there, BCCA or something. Stale Cracker started that stuff, right? So there's a sanctioned event for crawfish bowls. There's 25 teams. I tried probably 2 crawfish at 20 of them, including the top 5. Man, let me tell you, they better not come boil crawfish in Lafayette, Louisiana. Now, I got to give a shout out to my girl, Cooking with KP. Her husband boiled theirs. They're from Fort Berry, Louisiana. Their stuff was on time. It was a great, true crawfish boil like we used to here. Man, she's got a great seasoning out. They did their thing. She got her show. She got big followers.
Shout out Cooking with KP.
Lady Howe, Britt, the Cajun, Cooking with Johnny, Austin, Austin Dennis. Man, that dude is funny as hell. I don't know if y'all watch his videos where he's making his cocktails and stuff. He's got millions of followers, man. Southern Boys, matter of fact, Southern Boys Outdoors has my seasoning at their store now.
I follow Southern Boys Outdoors. They do some good stuff.
Kenyon is a great guy, man. Super nice guy. But it was a social media influencers event. And KD Cattle Company in Texas, let me see, they just posted it and tagged me. I got invited to 3 more. I actually got invited to one with Heather Smith from Naked and Afraid. Matter of fact, her premiere, I got to give a shout out to my girl, her premiere is going to be Saturday night. So I got a cook-off in Moss Bluff. I'm going to drive up to Sam Rayburn, Texas to watch her premiere at her party and support her. But she was asking me to go to another social media influencers event this weekend in Texas City that day. But I couldn't. I'm just so booked up.
Wow. But
since that has happened and I got on that social media highway, man, I'm asking to do a lot of stuff. I got tagged in a newspaper article the other day. Somebody asked me to cook for some veterans in Vinton, Louisiana. So I said, yeah, for the veterans, I'll do it. And then I started reading the write-up, and it started calling me a celebrity Cajun chef. And I'm like, whoa, hold up. I'm just from Holly Beach and like to cook. So
you like to win, too.
Yeah, I mean, so I got invited, but, man, it's blown up since then, man.
That's amazing, though. That's,
Yeah. It's crazy how social media can influence so many lives and just impact so many things in a positive way. There are many negative ways, but definitely a positive way.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it's
connecting so many people on these platforms is amazing to me.
I mean, you can learn so much stuff. I mean, like anything can be used for good or nefarious purposes. You know, it's up to the person. Right. But I mean, you can see what people really do. I mean, like you can go on YouTube and you can watch anybody, like a real expert on any subject that you want. Doesn't matter whether it's medicine, physics, cooking, carpentry, whatever. They have people that are real experts that are showing you how it's really done and how they really do it. And you know,
my TV went out. It's blinking like 3 different colors. I had a cool little logo that I had animated. I want to kind of put that on there for the TV show. Like, man, that would be really cool tonight. Downloaded it, had it all set up. My TV's broken. I was trying to Google what that meant and how to fix it. I can't find it. So I guess I got to take it down and get me another one. But a good example is Bear Bailey that was there this weekend. I took a picture with him and got to meet him and his wife Ashley. Man, this guy would sing in his local convenience store.
Yes.
That sound that you hear from the cashier, that's his wife. She goes ahead and she goes behind the counter. And she hollers at him, "Hey, Bear," and then sing this for me. And, man, he'll start singing, and that's how that come about. And, man, that Friday, he signed a deal with Warner Brother Records on the way to the event.
No, that's awesome.
Oh, wow. That's
singing in a gas station.
Shout out Bear. Wow.
That guy.
Excellent. That's cool.
Cooking with the Cajun, man, let me tell y'all, I hear, unfortunately, when you're talking about the good and the bad, I hear it. I even, as little as I am, as far as my following ain't there yet, but man, when I post something in some of these foodie things, I posted one of my gumbos I cooked 2 gumbo categories at the Rooftop 116 downtown Lafayette. It was a little bit different for me. My wife and I went. I wanted to step off into something different. A buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey man, what are you going cooking that competition for?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, a competition ain't for white people. So what the hell does that mean? So I went, had a blast. One seafood, come out second to chicken and sausage. I picked up 5 stores in Lafayette that I never even heard of, and just had a blast.
Yeah.
But the hate that was coming from people on my page when I posted the video that day, and it was just, so part of what I got out of this weekend was, Brittany Camille, she didn't do too well on Top Chef with Gordon Ramsay. She did the whole Top Chef thing, and she was showing me some stuff that she screenshotted. She said I use it as inspiration, but she says, "Rusty, you got to go in and just block them people, mentally and physically on social media. Just block them off your page and go about your business." I seem a little bit like a big kind of wild guy, but man, I'm very soft-hearted, and I take all that crap personally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like, man, this person really don't like my food, or this person really don't like me and don't know me. Maybe I should try to meet them and let them get, it's like I'm trying to.
No.
Yeah.
They're just trolls. They're just trolls.
Yeah,
They're just
right.
But you know what?
But it was so fun to hear all these sides. Like Cooking with the Cajuns, he's got 4 accounts that are just share his name, that are sharing everything he posts, and they're making thousands of dollars on social media with his videos and his name, and that's not even his pages.
What?
They made fake accounts with his name, and just as soon as he shares it, they clip it and put it on their page. And he's tried to shut them down, and they can't. But man, they're everything that you see on TV. They're just as genuine. Man, he's funny as hell, man. He invited me to go to the farm and to his place. They cook everything he cooks in those black pots. They either raise or farm right there on that property.
That's amazing.
Oh, wow.
His house has 4 walls. Their bathroom has no walls. The 4 outer walls is what him and his wife live in.
Wow.
The bathroom, kitchen, fireplace, everything is in one room.
Wow.
And he's making some jack off of social media.
Man, that's a country studio right there.
Yeah,
That's it, man. I think that's what I took most out of this weekend was just hearing the feedback of how they deal with it. I caught some of it this weekend, from coming back, but it's all good. It's all good, and I take the good with the bad and roll with it.
If you have haters, then you must be doing something right.
Yeah.
That's what I was told.
That's correct.
Yeah, and you'll find that Louisiana people are very, very opinionated on food. That's not the way my mama did it. My grandmother didn't do it like that. Look, I'm gonna say this right now. Your grandmother is not the officiator of what is Cajun and what is not. Everybody has a different experience. We grew up in different areas. I come from a Creole background. Casey comes from a Cajun background. Turns out we cook a lot of the things the same, because my family are country folk. They're not city folk. They're not from New Orleans. The food is like my mom's food is not that far off from other people's, but it's all about access. What we had access to, what ingredients we had access to. My grandmother, my dad's mom cooked so much shrimp. I mean, you get iodine poisoning if you were real sensitive to it. And my grandmother never cooked crawfish dishes. And when I mean never, I mean never. I never saw my grandmother in the 38 years or 37. I was 37 when my grandmother died. I never saw her cook anything that had crawfish in it. She did not like crawfish. Did that mean crawfish wasn't real? No, it just means that's not what she liked to cook. My mom cooked crawfish. My mom's mom cooked crawfish, but not my dad's mom. She just didn't like crawfish. So all our different food experiences are kind of shaped by the people that we grew up around what they liked, and then you have to sometimes explore, get out of your comfort zone, and find things that you like. Then maybe your family didn't like to cook.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We here in
So
Cajun country, we are a very, like you
Yeah.
say, we're very prideful people. But what makes us great is also what hinders us a lot of times,
Yes.
especially when it
Absolutely.
comes to these
right.
opinions.
You got to be open minded. You got to be
I
open minded.
got raked over the coals. I posted a gumbo, man, about a month or so ago. It's a cook-off, and I won. But they had no bell pepper, green bell pepper at the store, so I just grabbed some red bell pepper. I cut it up, and I'll be damned. Everybody took that for a tomato in my gumbo, and I went, man, I was blasted. So all I did was in the comments, I held a red bell pepper up and the first place plaque, and just was like,
Oh, I
you know,
Nice.
remember seeing that
and every time
picture.
somebody make an ugly comment, I would just post that picture under their comment over and over. And I was like, so times everything ain't all it seems.
Right.
In my family, we had Creole and Cajun. I make a gravy. Shane was talking about it, fresh sausage gravy. It's one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, when I got back today, my neighbor ran me some fresh sausage for me to cook in a cooking video and to tell me how he liked it. I haven't cooked it yet. But I make, and people's like, oh, well, it's kind of like a sauce piquant, or, oh, it's like a fricassee. It's really not, man. I call it a rust-colored gravy, but it's not red, it's not brown, but it's got roux in it, and it's got tomato sauce in it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just like I'm a butter snob, Cantonina, I think the little girl on the can of tomato sauce, that is the only tomato sauce I will use in anything. Spaghetti, whatever. It browns. There's enough sugar in it to where it actually browns and doesn't stay red.
Oh.
And that's one of my tricks to the trade. I will not admit to putting it in my jambalaya or my hamburger helper pastalaya cook-off. But I will say this, my competition box is packed for this weekend. There's 3 of those cans in that box.
He tell you that much.
That
Yeah.
Spanish lady comes with me everywhere, and it doesn't turn anything red, but people will ask me, man, what's in that? What's in that? There's a flavor that's really good, and they can't figure out what it is.
See this is a point that I make. There's a difference between something being tomato based and using tomatoes as an ingredient to
Correct.
make something where it's almost invisible. I use tomato paste in my crawfish etouffee. My crawfish etouffee does not taste anything of tomato at all. There is no.
Come on, use so much damn Rotel in her etouffee.
Oh yeah, it becomes it like you. I use tomato paste because tomato paste it browns. It's got sugar in it, and it gives it a very deep flavor, and it also gives it a nice color too. And tomato paste is a very different ingredient from tomato sauce or canned tomatoes. Those are different. Right. Tomato paste is a very different ingredient. Tomato paste is not going to turn like 3 tablespoons of tomato paste in your etouffee is not going to turn it into marinara sauce. People.
Absolutely, you're right.
And it's where you put it, what time you put it in, and how you cook it. I put my tomato paste when my vegetables are brown at the point where I'm done. I throw my tomato paste in and I cook the crap out of it. And that
try
can be
try the little lady on the can with her sauce.
Yeah.
At that point, when you're browning it, when it's brown,
I'll do that.
Dump a little can. If you have to have, they got the little bitty cans and then they got the regular cans.
Yeah.
But only that brand. You can't try to substitute that brand with anything else.
I will try that.
It actually browns. It turns from red to like a rust color.
And that's a totally different tomato. I know that flavor you're talking about. That is a totally different tomato flavor. Then it's not going to turn people. It's not going to turn your food into marinara sauce. It's not going to.
Right.
It's about when you put these ingredients, how you cook these ingredients, and the purpose you're using them for. So,
I do not put her in my gumbo. There is lines that I don't trust. I do not put her in my gumbo.
In my opinion, tomatoes do not have a place in chicken and sausage gumbo. In an okra gumbo, tomatoes have their place.
Right.
In chicken and sausage.
I put my okra down. I use tomatoes when I'm cooking it. So, but it's already cooked so much. Man, my grandpa, I was going to say, my grandma, they were farmers, so they put okra in everything. Man, I ate so much okra as a kid, my socks wouldn't even stay up. They just slide down. They were so slimy. Like, it literally, I had to tape them up because they just would slide down. So I like it, but my wife, man, I can't. She won't eat okra. She won't eat corn. I can't even make my machu at home. I make my machu. I got to call the neighbor over.
Man.
I love
I'll
okra
come over.
and
I'm not that
machu.
far from you,
Yeah,
Rusty.
yeah. I'll come in. Let me know when you do. We'll come in town.
Having a roux gumbo and overdoing the smoke is really not something you want to do. If you're going real smoky on a roux gumbo, it's too much bitter because that roux is already bitter and you're just going too far down that bitter end. Whereas okra gumbo, you can really pack smoke into okra gumbo. It can take more, but a roux gumbo, you got to be real careful with it. I've done that where I've used too much of a certain brand of smoked sausage and it came out good, but I was like, man, this is just too smoky for me. It's just, it's so it gets so intense in that roux. Roux is a kind of a magical ingredient because it's a backbone that intensifies savory flavors. Right. So it's not a flavor unto itself. Yeah, it's exactly. So it's not a flavor unto itself. It's got to back something up. You know, like roux if you make a really deep flavored chicken stock and put roux in that makes a great gumbo. But roux and water doesn't taste like anything you want to eat. It's got to back something up.
I still get a kick when I go to a competition, especially a gumbo cook-off. And man, these guys are like, man, where can I fill up with my water? Where can I do this with my water? And then they pull these Kentwood jugs of water out or the gallon jugs of water. And the expression watered down comes from water, right?
Right.
I've learned this from Chef Paul Prudhomme out of New Orleans. Anything you put water in, you have to start over with your flavor profile.
Yep.
No matter what.
That's right.
I don't use water in anything. And I was going to pan the camera and show you, but it's already loaded. Man, I order the unsalted kitchen basics chicken broth or chicken stock, the unsalted. I order it by the cases. I don't put any water in anything other than a rice pot to cook rice. That's it. Man,
sometimes the kitchen basics go in that too.
Yeah.
That's a staple. That unsalted kitchen basics is a staple for me.
But you're so right. The dilution power that water has. I mean, it can. You add water to something and it can just zap the flavor out of anything.
It can also be your friend. So the Beau Soleil Festival in Broussard, the first annual, man, we were cooking, and I had a guy with me that was kind of a little bit antsy, but not a very good cook. And he just kept grabbing stuff out my box and throwing it in the pot. And I'm like, whoa, man, what are you doing? And I tasted it, and it was salty, man. Like he had ended up putting salt in it besides the seasoning that we were using. It was probably 30 to 45 minutes before judging time, right? And I'm like, I was just fixing to add my rice. So about an hour before, but it was right at time to add my rice. And I thought, man, I got to think fast because I don't know how to fix this. Thinking, ran to the concession stand, bought about 10 bottles of water. I knew my gravy was going to be not right with the meat, but you turn it into the judges so you could pick the meat out right and make it as meaty as you want to go to the judges. Mm-hmm. I had 5 pounds of rice I knew from a previous cook-off under the back seat of my truck. So I ran my fat butt all the way across the parking lot, got that 5-pound bag of rice, got water from the concession stand, watered it down, started back over, got it fired up, added that 5 pounds of rice with the rest of the rice, and we ended up winning the competition. So water can be your friend if you mess up. The only thing you can do is water it down. Water it down and start over.
The solution to pollution is dilution. So if you're too much salt, you dilute it. That's how it works.
There you go.
But we always got tricks in our boxes. I'm looking right now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 7, 8 competition boxes, depending on what we're cooking. They're loaded, ready to go. And I swap out. Everyone's got the basics in it. A hand crank can opener for some, lighters. They all have the black cannon.
That's what I wanted to talk about right there.
We have to talk about this because
absolutely.
I will say, like, I got you. We're at the competition in Bro Bridge, and Brandon said, "Rusty's selling his seasoning." I think it was a donation to charity. You got 2 things of seasoning. So I was like, oh, well, you know.
4 $400 worth of my seasoning. They were asking me, man, what do you want me to do with the money? I said, you put it all in that ammo can right there. Every dime, I said, I'm donating everything you sell. Put it in the ammo can for the veterans. I don't want any of it. But, man, I was so excited. They sold $400 and something worth of my seasoning that weekend.
Wow. So Brandon told me about it, and I was like, you got to try Rusty's seasoning. I said, I'm always up for trying something new seasoning. So, I pick it up. So we take it, we go home, and I said, let me crack open this Rusty, see what it's like, and I tasted it, and I was like, there's something special about this. This is not. When I tasted it, I immediately knew. I was like, this is not the standard Cajun seasoning recipe. This very much, and I mean, it stood apart. There's something in there that I'm really liking that I think is missing.
I watched those podcasts. I will say this. I'm going to tell you, there's no celery powder in it. No, you thought that might be a little celery powder. There's none in it. But it's a good, solid recipe. The blue can is actually really good. And I feel bad because I pushed that black can that we competition cook with so much. But the crazy part is the blue can is outselling 2-1.
Wow.
It's for the French fries, for that competition deal on his food truck, I left him the blue can because it has a little more salt. So I figured a fry, you're going to want a little bit more salt with it.
Yes, absolutely. Guys, starches need salt. You cannot cook starch without salt. It is
so I made that decision.
Criminal.
In November, there's a seasoning festival in Carencro. And the cooking competition is a French fry cook-off, which makes no sense when you first think about it. But then when you think the seasoning festival, that makes all the sense in the world because a French fry has zero flavor.
Right, great vehicle.
Until you put your seasoning on it.
Two things that influence your French fries is going to be your fat and your seasoning. That's it.
Yep.
That's the only things you can control.
So let me ask you this, Rusty. What made you get into the seasoning business? What influenced you to do that?
Yeah, because it's a risky market because it's very saturated. I'll put my word behind it. Your product stands out from the rest. I'm not going to be on a podcast trashing other people's seasoning. If I don't like something, I won't mention it. But
of course, and you can't because what you don't like in somebody else's seasoning, 1,000 more people are going to like that.
Exactly. It's about what I like and what flavors I recommend, and the ones that I pick are the ones that stand apart for me. And those and yours, Mad, Gaspar's, those stand apart. Those are the
crazy part, and I'm gonna throw him under the bus, man. But I got everybody's seasoning. I have no Gaspard seasoning. I can't believe it.
It's good.
Well, Shane,
it's good.
You hear that, right?
Oh no, there's no doubt. Shane is on point, man. Shane has been
good.
So back to your question. All right. So doing a lot of competition cooking. I got a doctor friend of mine put out a seasoning, the Healthy Cajun. Uses the pink Himalayan salt. Great seasoning. I used it in a few competitions and won. And I took a few pictures with it, and boom, he's like, man, my social media blown up. Man, we've sold out. The minute you posted it on your site that you won, we're sold out. And I was like, well, good. So I've done that a few times. Took some pictures with another buddy that had a seasoning come out in a can. We won 2 or 3 competitions. I, took my I don't know if it was a seasoning that sold out of my face. I don't know. But I took a picture, put it on social media, right? He called me and said, man, we're blowing up. Can't keep up. So the third friend come out with a seasoning. I don't care for it. Just me. But I did the same thing. I used a little bit to say I used it. But I've been blending this seasoning for years and years and years in my mixer at home and competition cooking with this seasoning. The black one. That recipe I've been blending and putting it in the plastic bottles for years. So finally, my wife, we were in the truck, and the guy was like, man, we're sold out. Man, thank you for posting the picture. It's crazy. Finally, she said, hey, man. She said, look at me. That's telling me my OnlyFans subscription's going low. They blinked. I got to do so. I got to change positions to get more followers. That's what it tells me. I got to do a trick or something. But my wife goes, hey, don't you think it's time that you blend your own, put your own in a can and sell yourself out? Right. I'm like, nobody's going to buy this stuff. There's thousands, right? The market's flooded. It's saturated. There's thousands. It don't make no sense. So I did, and my thought process was, man, if I could just put it on my table at an event and sell enough to cover my food and my entry fee for that event, because I really enjoy competition cooking.
Right.
So my goal wasn't to, and I'm going to tell you a backstory of what's transpiring this week to an extent without getting too much into it. But so my goal was to pay for my shenanigans. Like if I could just, and then if we grow it a little bit and we get a vacation out the deal, if I can rent, an extra $2,000, $3,000 a year, then we can do it. Give me a second. Definitely. So that's what we were at, right? Well, as of the order I just put in, and other people know I go to Targill, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't understand that I have two and a third manufacturer working on my samples right now, but I have two separate manufacturers. Scary as hell for me knowing that it's coming from two different places. How consistent can it be? So far, I can't tell the difference in either one. Like they nailed it, right? The order I just picked up and got out this week, we've only been on the market 6 months, and we're not in any chain store. We're at 26,000 cans sold in 6 months, and I'm not in a chain store.
Wow.
It's crazy. Our internet sales are absolutely nuts. I have some distributors that are incredible that work their tails off. Lions Market in Jennings. I'm not from Jennings. I've passed through Jennings on I-10. They sell probably 3 to 1. Nunu's in Youngsville is right there with them, but Lions Market in Jennings, man, they can't keep it on the shelf.
Wow. It's awesome and surprising you selling that much, but it's not surprising because the product is excellent. It is an excellent product, guys. I mean, it really is. If you put a link in the description to sale, you have to try this Cajun seasoning. It is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Put it on everything.
So with that all being said, we have our other products coming out, and I think Brand knows this, but I used to cook. We go to a lot of NASCAR races, and I cooked for a lot of NASCAR drivers over the years, and got really tight with those guys. And it's a money game with them, right? You got your marketing side, you got your marketing guys in the middle between the money and the drivers and the team owners. Yep. And I got a call Monday. We're going to be in 6 different chain stores across the country. Crazy part, none of them down here. All north. One of them is one of the largest grocery stores in the country, grocery store chain. A couple of larger stores, Target being one of them. I had 2 meetings with Target, and the girl in charge of putting products in Target used to do shots with me at the races, and I would feed her and her team every week.
Wow.
It just, this week really went crazy to the point where I had to go to one of the NASCAR guys, and he's actually going to become an investor because the first order we need to get out is about $200,000 worth of seasoning to cover the first round.
Wow.
This 6 months, I have 0 investors, nothing. We have taken everything of our own, and every product we sell, we turn around and flip it right back into more product. I don't take any money from it. I'm not paying anybody. I truly believe in slave labor when it comes to your own children, so I make them work events. There's no laws, there's no labor laws when it comes to your kids. But man, look, we go straight out, not just seasoning, profit margins on these laser engraved cups with all our logos and Cajun logos, two spoons, cutting boards with our logos, cutting boards with all our Cajun stuff. Man, we go to events and set up. Okay, Mississippi, for instance, and I sold probably 15 cases of each of seasoning off my table.
Wow.
And we sold everything we had, cutting boards. They wanted to buy my tent. It was insane. I have a keg barrel head with my logo on it, and I stack my cans all nice and neat, kind of Pinterest stuff. They were trying to buy that from me. They wanted everything we got. Man, I got to shout. You got to see my cooler back here. It's a Kunash Yeti, sponsored by Nunu's.
Yeah.
Man, Nunu's in Youngsville Blaine and those guys, when we do a cook-off or we do a competition, man, they hook me up on my meat. I use my seasoning, but man, their meat market, I use their smoked sausage and tasso. Nuno's is absolutely a godsend right there in Youngsville, man. It's just
great store too.
I love it.
I got to give a shout out to PSC Supply and Broussard.
Yeah.
Whatever you're cooking, if they don't have it, you don't need it. Willie Pippin and those guys at PSC, if they don't have it, trust me, you don't need it at all.
That's a fact.
Incredible. Now, Brandon, you're going to like this, man. I posted a video this week. People might think, oh, God, this dude's getting excited over a spoon, right? ROUXtensils. These roux spoons are made. This one right here is out of a gum tree. This one is out of a spalted redwood. The baddest thing I have seen in my cooking career. I'm already addicted. These paddles are now my competition paddles. They are now my partner. And these competition paddles are absolutely, if you can see the detailed work in these paddles.
That is nice. I like the curve in the handle, too. I can just see how your hands fit on there.
Let me tell you why they're made that way. Right-handed, left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn to whatever way it feels more comfortable. Man,
that is so
I bought this sycamore.
Leverage, too.
This sycamore paddle has an incredible pattern, but there's a nail that was left in it from hundreds of years ago that stained out, and I just thought that was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
That's crazy.
So,
that's wild.
Man, these guys with ROUXtensils, look them up, and they do incredible work, man, and I can't wait for my first competition this weekend to be able to use one of those ROUXtensil paddles. The back part, they call it a squirrel tail, right? Mm-hmm. He is custom making me one that goes out wider and almost like a scoop. That way I can actually fluff my jambalaya rice in the competition with the back part of the paddle after I've been stirring with this part. I can fluff it with the back part, called a wide squirrel tail rice fluffer on the back. I was like, man, if you could just do that with a scoop, I can flip that bad boy around and flip that rice. Then I got you.
Man,
so, and I just had to give a few shout outs. Coy Landry with Landry Woodworking, man, he does all my roux spoons and cutting boards and that stuff, man. He's absolutely incredible. When I sponsor awards for events, I buy them from him. He cuts out the logos or whatever the event is and does that kind of stuff for me, man. And I can call Coy. You talked about me not sleeping. This dude, you call him, or I can post something at 3 a.m. and he's going to be liking it within a minute. And he runs them laser machines all night, all day. So, man, it's a group effort. He made me this. All my major cooking competition wins are all on a cup, on a Stanley, an actual Stanley. Even the Jack, because I did win a barrelhead at the Jack.
Yes, he did.
So every major competition, he's got it on a cup for me. So I have a walking trophy when I drink my Jack Daniels at events.
Wow, that's awesome.
Probably one of the coolest things I've ever had in my life, right?
That's a really cool one.
That's
awesome. Except 3 children. I mean, they were pretty cool. Not as cool as my 3 grandbabies, but the children were all right.
That's great.
Well, awesome. Well, yeah. So we'll link everything that you talked about. We'll link it in the description below when we post this. All the paddles. We definitely want to check those out because I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we're gonna link your documentary here and everything because we definitely need to get the word out how awesome you are.
We need to get a seasoning out here in Texas, man, because there's some people. Look, people in Texas they can cook, but they need some help too. So it's with the Cajun dishes.
So, I know I've been talking. Let me tell you a quick story. So last weekend, I went to Texas, Hallettsville, Texas. One of my football players that I coached went to the second round in the draft to the Carolina Panthers. He was actually the first running back to go in the draft. I coached Jonathan from when he was little. And his daddy always liked my gumbo. When we traveled for football, I cooked gumbo, and his daddy loved it. And we always kind of joked. I mean, we knew he was special, even back in 7, 8, 9, 10. But we always joked, and I said, well, when he gets drafted, I'm going to come cook a gumbo for his draft party. Well, His father passed away and never got to see him even play a down of kidney failure. Never got to see him play a down of football in college for University of Texas. He was in the Heisman talk early on, tore his ACL, came back, and got drafted, the first running back to go in the draft. I drove to Hallettsville, Texas to keep my promise to his daddy and cooked. I mean, Nicole and I cooked. So we're there cooking, and these people are eating, and they're like, man, you got to get in the gumbo cook-off tomorrow in Hallettsville. The hell? My wife said, hell no. There ain't no way we drove 7 hours and you found a gumbo cook-off in the middle of nowhere. Sure enough, it's the Fiddler's Frolic Festival State Championship Barbecue Cook-Off. One of the ancillary competitions is gumbo. So my daughter and them were coming, and I said, well, y'all got Disney on Ice tickets. Y'all can leave in the morning. I'm staying and cooking a gumbo. So I ran to the H-E-B, got me some chicken, some sausage. I even looked for Joy-Roo because I was like, man, I ain't got time. Well, being it's the gumbo cook-off, there was 174 gumbo entries. There was no roux to be found in that town. I made my roux. So I got my chicken and sausage, and somebody says, hey, you got seafood in there? I was like, no, it's chicken and sausage. I said, they said it's just one category. Man, all these people here are Bohemians. So I had to Google what the hell a Bohemian was and where they come from. I didn't know what a Bohemian was. They're like, man, if you don't have seafood in it, they won't even judge it. So I'm watching people cooking, and here's what got me. I thought, man, these people don't know what they're doing cooking a gumbo, but these judges probably don't know what the hell they judging because they're from here also, and they're eating these people's gumbo on a regular basis.
Right.
So I sent my son-in-law to the store with my credit card, and he bought some shrimp and some crab meat, frozen bags of shrimp and whatever crab meat he can find. I said, as long as it don't say imitation, grab it.
Right.
We dumped that in the chicken and sausage gumbo. And like I had 30 minutes before turn-in. My roux was beautiful to me. First thing everybody would say, that's dark, that's dark. Well, I dumped that shrimp and crab meat in there 30 minutes before turn-in and come out fourth place out of 174 teams.
Wow.
Like, the Fiddler Frolics Texas State Championship.
Wow.
So,
Gosh.
you get to places, man, and you're like, I don't know, man, we're just going to adapt. But this lady was cooking on the other side, and I don't know how much tomato paste she had in that pot for her gumbo. But I seen something flip in this pot, and I said, what you got in there? That's my seasoning bag. So I seen her flip it again, and I knew what it was instantly. And I said, without playing dumb, where would one in Texas buy a seasoning bag, a gumbo seasoning bag? She says, well, it comes in a Zatarain's box. They usually use it for boiling crawfish.
No.
She had one of them in a whole pot of, looked like spaghetti sauce, and she would just flip it. And just flip it. And she was adding shrimp and smoked sausage at the end. And I was like,
what was that?
Look, I'll say this. There are two uses I have for crab boil type seasonings. Just two. Crab boil, crawfish boil. Boiling crabs or crawfish or shrimp, and a little dash of it in etouffee. That's it. That
I'm
stuff.
gonna tell you, little splash don't hurt, or a little bit of the powder don't hurt in a seafood machu either.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that too. But yeah, I mean, like that's got. I mean, it's such a crawfish boil is such a potent seasoning. It is super distinct.
I don't know if you guys like hot dogs. Like, I'm a hot dog freak. I gotta buy a hot dog everywhere new I go. I gotta try the hot dog from where I go. But I got a miniature Lucky Dog steamer, right?
Yeah.
And I filled the bottom with water, and I dumped the biggest bottle of liquid crab boil that you can think of in the bottom. So your hot dogs are never sitting in it. They're never touching it. But they're just steaming in it. So it gives it just a hint.
That's pretty smart.
That crawfish boil without it sitting. Now, if it boiled in there, then obviously it would be hot, right?
Yeah.
Nope. You can use the cheapest weenies. It don't matter. It just steams in there, and everybody comes because they think we're boiling seafood. And I sit there, I just got a hot dog before. But for Halloween, I do that. Man, we'll go through 200 hot dogs for Halloween. Everybody comes to get the seafood boiled hot dogs. And it's just steamed. It's just steamed in the steam from the grill. Gets
That's
on those
crazy.
wings.
I've had Rusty's.
I love
I my hot dogs. I bring my hot dog machine everywhere.
I love the creativity,
try
man.
this. I have to
And a
try
hot dog
this.
machine. That travels with me.
Look, I'm telling you, man, like I love the creativity, man, because I'm telling you, like food, like dumping a bunch of rules onto food just kind of ruins the fun of it. You know, there are rules to cooking. There are things you could, there are rules, hard rules to cooking. Like this is chemistry based, science based stuff that you have to follow. But as far as creativity goes, man, it's just you got to keep it open and fun. You can't just dump a bunch of rules on stuff and say, "Oh, I got to do this."
Some more tricks, man. So
Yeah.
my wife laughs at me because we travel a lot. We were just in Alaska for an Alaskan cruise. I ordered jambalaya in Alaska. If they have jambalaya on the menu and we're out of town, I'm ordering it. And the crazy part is probably 80% I like. Not jambalaya, almost like a stir fry with stuff in it. But my favorite meal in Lafayette, Louisiana, this is crazy, right? As much cooking and competition as I do, I'm fixing to give a shout out and people are going to be, huh? My favorite meal to eat, BJ's Brewhouse on Ambassador Caffrey. And there's a BJ's Brewhouse, I'm sure they got them in Houston.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yep.
There's a jambalaya on their menu. I don't know what the hell it is. It's got rice, it's got shrimp, it's got sausage, and it's got chicken. It's got juice, which is almost towards a Creole gumbo. It's got tomatoes in it. That's my favorite all-time meal to get in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Wow.
What?
It ain't nowhere Cajun. It ain't nowhere jambalaya. It's listed as jambalaya. I think it might even be listed as a New Orleans jambalaya. I don't know. But they grill, and it's got big vegetables, too. That makes no sense whatsoever till you eat it. Man, it's got a great flavor. They put almost like a crawfish dust on top. Man, you got to try it when you're at BJ's, man. It's really good. I don't know what the hell it is. It's called jambalaya on the menu. My favorite thing to eat in Lafayette.
What do we say on this? If it tastes good, it is good.
It's only crazy if it don't work.
Right.
That's right.
If it tastes good, it is good. You can say it's not jambalaya. Some things, sometimes people take things from other cultures and that inspires them to do something different. I just made
Spanish paella.
Yeah.
When I describe it to people, they're like, "Oh, that's a jambalaya." Man, there ain't nothing jambalaya about a Spanish paella except rice and protein.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's the same kind of thing where paella is like a kind of like a dish. It's meant to feed a crowd. You make a lot of it, and it's kind of something where you use what you have on hand. If you have it on hand, it can make a paella. I just did a thing where I smothered okra, but I really like Indian food. I love Indian food, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do like a curry spiced okra because that makes sense. Because Indians are very known for vegetable dishes. And I was like, I'll just season this thing with curry powder. I was like, why not?
It was delicious.
It was great. I was like, this makes sense. I love Indian food. I love okra. And Indian foods are known for vegetables. I was like, this makes sense to me. So that's what I did. And it came out pretty good.
Two keys I learned about a paella is one, good saffron, which is expensive as hell.
Yes. More expensive than gold.
And well, it's actually the most exotic and most expensive spice. So the Spanish paella, I did a lot of saffron, but the chorizo, I've always been a fan of chorizo. Mm-hmm. But Spanish chorizo and Mexican chorizo are not the same.
Way different.
And nowhere close. So I was ordering my chorizo from a local Mexican place here and practicing, and I'm like, I like it, it's good, but then when I would go to a place like where I work in Covington, and they have a great paella, and I was like, man, it's not the same. So the guy was like, yeah, it looks a little red. Where are you getting your chorizo? And I told him, he said, no. So he brought me some out the back and said, man, just get on Amazon and order it straight from Spain. And night and day. Man, and I ended up first place in the combination paella with all those teams in Liberia, and third place in the land paella.
Wow.
First time cooking it. And somebody asked my wife, because I left to go cook that other cook-off, and they said, man, this is so good. Did you cook this? She goes, no, my husband. She says, he from Spain? She goes, no, that son of a gun's from Holly Beach, Louisiana.
Well, It's interesting because Spanish chorizo is a dried sausage. It's kind of like it's made like salami. You know, it's not cooked. It's raw. It's cured.
You don't keep it cold.
No, it's a cured sausage, so it's air dried.
Right.
Now this is all about, you know, you got to think about the climate in Spain. Spain is kind of cool and dry in a lot of places. You know, it's not super hot. You can't air dry chorizo in Mexico or Louisiana. That's just not going to work because it's going to rot. So Mexican chorizo took on a different form, and it's a fresh sausage. Right. And like the chorizo kind of influence into Louisiana is kind of like where you add paprika into sausage and things like that. So Spanish influences come into. There's a lot of Spanish influence in Louisiana cooking. A lot of people don't realize that, but there is.
I didn't know, but whole New Iberia was founded by Spanish people. That's why the Spanish festival was there. My wife's from there. She didn't know till this year. We kind of learned a little bit of the history. The reason there's 3 categories in the paella is in Spain. Everybody who lives on the coast can only get seafood, so there's a seafood paella. Everybody who lives up in the hills can only do land. They don't have access to seafood, so they do land. And then the people that live in the middle do a combination of land and seafood. So that's why there's 3 categories: seafood, land, and combination.
Yeah, you see how everything comes full circle? You know, it's all about food is all about access. What do I have access to, and what can I make?
Exactly. What can you make?
Yep.
Right.
So, well.
And look, meat and like there is something magical happens when you pick meat and rice. You know that there's like this thing that the rice, the fat and the protein from the meat just stick to the rice, and it is very satisfying. And it's really like, I mean, you look at a lot of our things like jambalaya, boudin, paella. These are poverty dishes, man. These aren't like fancy dishes that people make.
That's how it got started. Gumbo, everything was started because they had no money. They had to figure out what they had. Bouillon, cowboy stew, whatever they had left. It's what they got to eat. Once they sold the good stuff to the people with money, you had what was left.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I was watching this thing about like the Middle Ages. What did poor people eat in the Middle Ages? The answer is in like England, people ate salmon. Poor people ate salmon. Rich people ate chicken. Because if you're rich, you could kill a chicken for its meat, and poor people kept chicken for their eggs, not for meat. So they ate salmon because salmon is something you can go down to the river and catch yourself. Just like Louisiana with crabs. Like crabs are like rich people food in other areas. And like, man, I said, in Louisiana, if you're eating crabs, you might not be that rich, man. You probably go and catch them yourself. It's just a different experience.
You know, brisket was considered a trash meat. I mean, I can remember
Absolutely.
But the only meat we ever had at our house was brisket because it would be 79, 89 cents a pound.
Exactly.
Brisket and it was a trash meat. Man, I sponsored and bought the brisket for the Jack. Aaron, the cook from Snake River Farm. Yeah, that ain't no trash meat for sure.
No, not anymore.
I mean, look at not just think of brisket. Think of oxtails. Oxtails are super expensive now. Think of chuck roast. Super expensive.
On Cat Williams, man. There ain't no such thing. Ain't no such thing as no oxtail. The only ox I ever was she was blue, named Dave. Man, that ain't no oxtail. That's them damn bulls that they can't sell nothing else, so they cut their tails off and sell that. I like a good oxtail too, but you're with me with that bull tail.
Yeah. But oxtails, you know, short ribs are now super expensive. I mean, like I saw
Chilean sea
like,
bass.
Another
thing that was nobody wanted that back in the day.
Oh man, nobody wanted that back in the days. And I tell you one thing. I mean, like in Houston, the Mexicans talk about this. They talk about skirt steak, dude. I mean, like. It makes them angry, like legit. You want to make somebody like Mexican descent mad. Talk about skirt steak and how expensive it's got, and they're like, man, y'all ruined it because skirt steak is like that's what the cowboys would eat. That's nobody wanted skirt steak. You know, they would cut skirt steak off, and there is not like if you don't know about butchering cows, there is not a lot of skirt steak on a cow. No. It's not that much meat. It may be I don't want to say, but it may be like. Total maybe 20 pounds of meat of skirt steak on a cow. And it is super expensive. Now you're paying $9-10 a pound for skirt steak. And it's delicious.
To it, you know? You had that little work to eat and strip that up and that's it, man. But yeah, thing I miss about working in Houston was, man, there's Mexican food places, man, that are absolutely incredible everywhere. Yeah. We got a bunch here, but I call them knockoffs. Mexican food place and a car wash station. I think we're going to have a car wash / Mexican festival coming on in Lafayette coming up too.
Probably so.
There's
How
a
many
car
people
wash
show up to that?
building unit everywhere, man.
I do, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been quite a treat tonight talking with you, Rusty, and
yeah, it's been a
learning
blast.
all of the things. Thank you so much for sending us the documentary. I really enjoyed it. It touched me. So we want to thank you so much for joining us and for doing so much for so many people.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
With that being said, I have a little end quote of the night that is definitely inspired by you, Rusty. This comes to us from Booker T. Washington. Those that are happiest are those that do the most for others. So we want to thank
100%.
Yes. So we want to thank
that.
everyone for tuning in tonight. Please go check out Rusty's documentary and check out all the links that we're going to post below. And until next time, you guys, keep stirring that pot.
All right. Good night.
Peace.